All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be talking about reports that have come out about Terence Crawford versus David Advanesyan and the purses paid for that fight. And in short, nowhere near what people were rumoring to be the case. But again, surprise, surprise, this is boxing, right? And people trying to make a lot of justifications for why that Errol Spence Jr. fight didn't happen. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 147-pound division talking about Terence Crawford versus David Advanesyan and the fight that took place, but most specifically, the purses that were paid and the financial relationships that were reported for the fight between the two. And they are radically different than what people have been rumoring for weeks and weeks and weeks as a justification for making this fight. Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, I want to thank you very, very much for your continued support. Shout out to my guy, Fahim Sator, who I lost a bet to, but not a bet. You just won in the fact that you said some stuff that wound up being the case, and I'll be a man about it and admit it in this video. However, if you are also new to the channel, thank you so much for for checking out the video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And again, just like Fahim Sator, thank you so much for being a supporter to the channel and supporting it in the super chats and in the cash apps and in the thank you and in the super thanks that you can see in the screen here, the $ with the heart around it, which is how people contribute and support content creators on YouTube. For not just for myself, for any content creator that you happen to enjoy, you should consider doing that, because that really is what makes the channel successful. But let's get into this. It was reported that Terence Crawford had passed up on a fight with Errol Spence Jr. because he was guaranteed $10 million to fight David Advanesyan. Okay. Now, when people heard that, people just looked up like, what? How in the world can that be? Like, how? This is going to be a fight that's on BLK Prime. It's against David Advanesyan. Terence Crawford has never been a big pay-per-view guy, never been somebody that really could sell a lot of pay-per-views. So why would somebody go out on a limb like that to guarantee Terence Crawford $10 million to fight David Advanesyan? It was also used by a lot of people to justify Terence not taking the Errol Spence Jr. fight, because as we've heard over and over and over again, hey, if you can get $10 million for that, why not do it? Right? That means he's getting paid more money to fight David Advanesyan than he is Errol Spence Jr., right? Only problem, at least according to these reports, and I suspect multiple reports, I'm just going to read one of them, and I suspect what's going to be released also from the Nevada, whoever the organization is in Nevada that actually reports the purses. But according to sportsbuyout.com, they say this upcoming Terence Crawford will be seen in action in his upcoming pay-per-view that will take place against David Advanesyan. David Advanesyan is a professional boxer from Russia looking to get a great fight ahead of this week, blah, 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 blah. Even though I'm not sure if David Advanesyan is maybe from Russia, but he's Armenian. The purses for the boxers are reported as this: Terence Crawford purse, $2 million with a pay-per-view share of 70%. And the total payout, including pay-per-view revenue share, was projected to be $6 million. David Advanesyan, purse $400,000, pay-per-view share 30%. His payout is expected to be $1.2 million. Now, let me tell you for sure that is not a $10 million guarantee. Not a $10 million guarantee. And in fact, if what they are saying is true, that he's going to get, they anticipate $6 million, including pay-per-view shares. You know what that means for how much Terence Crawford is probably going to make in this fight? Nowhere near $10 million. And also probably nowhere near $6 million because he's going to get paid out of pay-per-view shares. Now, they do have a gate, right? And they have say 16,000 people, 17,000 people were there, and they pay, $100 a ticket for 18,000 people in Nebraska. That's a gate of 1.5 million. Maybe Terence Crawford can pull $1 million out of that gate, which would bring him up to maybe $3 million. But the pay-per-views itself at $40 a pop, seen as they would, in order to do at $40 a pop, if they sold 100,000 pay-per-views at $40 a pop, that's $4 million, of which he's going to get, say 90% goes to the fighters, and he's going to get 70% of that, right? So 90% of the 4 million is $3.6 million. That would probably 3 points. Say that's a third of that goes to a third of that 3.6 goes to David Avanesian. So you're saying that David Avanesian is probably going to make an extra $900,000, maybe an extra $900,000, something like that. So Terence Crawford would probably wind up walking about another $3 million, $2 million. Let's say $3 million. I don't have a calculator in front of me to be specific, to be exact. Another $3 million. So if you did 100,000 pay-per-views and he did $2 million and then $2 million in the guarantee, $1 million in the gate, that could get him to the $6 million, right? However, you would have to do 100,000 pay-per-views. Ain't no way in the world he did 100,000 pay-per-views. He probably did half of that. So I suspect that if he really, really, really did better than I expect, and a lot of people expect, he probably will walk away with $4 million from the whole thing. I'm not, like I said, you can tell by this, I'm not the greatest mathematician in the world, but $4 million is about $6 million away from $10 million. And seeing as what was reported to be the initial guarantee offer from Showtime to fight Terence Crawford was $5 million plus 30% of 30% of the pay-per-view. You're talking about a very, very, very big pay, him giving up a lot of money to fight David Avanesian. Not the scenario that people were laying out where he gets $10 million guaranteed, and then he's going to get a cut of the pay-per-view. Now, the reason why I've said, and I was doing this from the beginning, I said every step of the way, dude, I don't believe a $10 million guarantee. Because that's telling me that you're dealing with people that are just straight up and down looking to lose money. And that is such, and even the people that say, well, maybe it's related to some type of money laundering, something like that. I mean, are you going to do it in broad daylight like that? You know what I mean? Like, that is so much out there in broad daylight, and it's a one-time thing. So that's not even a scenario where you could do that over time. That's just something that is right there in your face and most definitely going to be looked at if they're paying that type of money or overpaying that way. But regardless, this number sounds realistic. $2 million guarantee for a fight with David Avanesian is a good deal for Terence Crawford. $400,000 for David Avanesian to fight Terence Crawford is a lot of money for a guy from Russia. But you guys can please, and especially when these numbers come out officially from the state of Nebraska, please stop responding to questions and say, hey, well, if you're making $10 million, of course you're not going to fight Errol, man. You got to take that $10 million. What if it's not $10 million? What if it is you're really going to pull out at the end of which is a lot of money. $2 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. That's a lot of money. But $2 million is not $5 million guarantee. And 70% of a $4 million, of a 70% of a probably $2 million in pay-per-views is a lot different than 30% of a $50 million pay-per-view, right? 30% of 50 million, that's $15 million from the pay-per-view. Plus, you're looking at $20 million, well over $20 million instead of $6 million. And so the idea that Terence Crawford did that because he was looking to make more money and he got this great deal, man, I didn't believe it then. These reports come out here. And honestly, Eddie Hearn said the same thing. He's like, I hear he's making $10 million. I heard 7. Right now, say it's 7. What would the 7 include? The 7 will include the guarantee and the pay-per-view. And you're making a lot of assumptions with the pay-per-view, especially when it's on BLK Prime and it involves Terence Crawford, who is not a big pay-per-view seller, and David Advanesyan in a fight that nobody wanted to see. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.